Just trying out the Rode mic again, my lav mic. I left it on so the battery's dead, so I got to order some more batteries. I think I had some, and when I sold the Nikon, I gave the batteries away as well, so we'll get some more. I did turn up the volume, so I just want to see how that works. Just tweaking some things. I think my internet's a bit slow because of all this rain, although it's letting up some. How's the audio? Hey Marcus, how's the audio? Is it loud? Last time when I did it, it was pretty quiet. Too loud or too soft, or did you have to turn up your the audio really high? What do I think of the shootings in Canada? I think that we need to stop giving these people any recognition. It's fine to talk about the shootings, but I don't think you should give out names. I don't think you should talk about who the shooter was or anything. I think that if we stop letting them go down in history, that they'll stop doing these things. I think a lot of what they do is just to feel good about themselves on their way out. And if we didn't mention them, I think that there would be a lot less shootings. Um, we also have pretty strict gun rules around in Canada. So maybe we could crack down on them a little bit. I know my brother just got his hunting and firearms license this year, I guess, and he had quite a few hoops to jump through. And it was the same as when I did mine. You know, they do a background check, a criminal check, and all that sort of good stuff. So I think we're on the right path as far as the gun control goes. Maybe stiffen the penalties on, you know, if a kid's able to go and grab a gun quickly out of their parents' gun cabinet, or maybe it's just tucked in a closet or something, maybe stiffen the penalties towards those parents, so that people are storing their firearms properly, at least out of kids' reach. Maybe you should also keep a better eye on your kids if it's a kid going out and doing the shootings. It's pretty tough. I'm for guns. I think they're a great tool. A gun to me is no different than a shovel. Shovel can be pretty deadly in the right hands, and you know, I think a shovel is very useful, and I think firearms are useful. I would use a firearm to protect my place or my family. I hunt with them. If a bear was in the yard going after the chickens or something like that, or a fox, I wouldn't think twice about shooting it. But at the same time, I don't think people should be getting shot. So I don't know all the stats and statistics, so I think that would be something that I'd want to look into before I really jumped into making new rules and laws. Are most of the guns registered? Is it the owner doing the shootings? Are they stolen? Is it kids that are getting a hold of guns? All that sort of stuff. So I'm not really sure, Marcus. I don't pay much attention to the news, so I don't know where this shooting was in Canada. I hate the news. I don't watch the local news. I don't listen to the local radio. I listen to satellite radio, and I watch YouTube. So, and I don't pay much attention to New Brunswick and Toronto. It's always sad. I don't like to see it, but I think stopping the fame, you know, if you think about all the shootings and even bombings, I mean, they blow it out on the news constantly. It's on the news until the next one happens, and people get famous for the wrong reasons. And I don't think you should talk about them. I mean, yeah, if there's a shooting or a bombing, okay, you talk about it, but as far as making the gunman or the bomber famous, no, don't even mention his name. Don't need to talk about ethnic groups or any of that stuff. Just, you know, tragic shooting in Toronto, 7 dead, you know, we feel for the families. Leave it at that. I don't think you necessarily need a gun if you're in downtown Toronto, but that doesn't mean that that person downtown Toronto doesn't own some property, you know, in a farmland, and has chickens and cattle and all that sort of stuff, and or he just likes to hunt. So I think it's firearms are important. I don't want to see them getting banned. I think if you want to have a firearm, you should be allowed to have a firearm. I think you should have rules to follow, just like everything else in the world. I don't think they'll end up getting confiscated. There's enough people that hunt and trap and fish. Yeah, I'm not sure. The whole gun debate kind of... I actually did a video on it, and I didn't release it. It was kind of controversial, and I kind of gave my thoughts on it pretty harsh, I suppose. And some of it was aimed at the U.S., just not aimed at them as a negative thing, but maybe some improvements. But then coming from Canada, where we have lots of gun laws, I knew that I was going to get a bunch of backlash, so I didn't release that video. But yeah, it saddens me when I hear people wanting to ban guns and stuff. Doesn't matter if it's you know, an AR rifle or a shotgun or a handgun. To me, they're all useful, and depending on where you are and what you're doing, they have different applications. I'd love to be able to carry a handgun when I go trapping. Do I need one? No, I don't. You know, do I need a long gun for that matter? No, I don't. I could use an axe or a stick, or you know, a lot of people will use a snare to dispatch an animal that they've got in a trap. So then you don't have a hole. You know, people that go out into different areas. Say they need rifles to protect themselves from grizzly bears and black bears. Well, we have black bears everywhere around here, and I've never even come close to having a mauling or anything like that. Generally, just you walking and talking is enough to send bears off. Bells on your backpack is generally going to send a black bear off. Grizzlies and brown bears are a little bit different. But, you know, some bear spray and stuff is sufficient. But, you know, then again, if I was up there, I'd probably want a handgun. You know, you can keep it on your hip. Playing with pepper spray, blowing it into the wind, you end up getting it into your face, which is probably going to do more harm than good. What's shaking, Aaron? Yeah, I agree totally. Yeah, not too many polar bears here, but I mean, again, if you really need the protection, then by all means carry a firearm. I'm not up in the big bear country, so it's easy for me to sit here and say you don't need it, but at the same time, you know, those people up there, if they're saying they need the protection, then I would go with them. If the majority are saying they need protection, then who am I to argue? Yeah, I've been watching Chris's videos. I think I just watched I'm a little bit behind. I think I watched the soft-sided turtle, soft-shelled turtle, sorry. And then I haven't watched the other turtle one just yet. I did watch the hog episode. I can't remember which one I watched last. Yeah, that's true, Marcus. It's, especially with a handgun, you know, you can put it on your hip, and you know, it adds a few pounds to your weight, but you know, it's not that much. And it's the assurance of having some backup when you might need it. Is the audio pretty good, Aaron? Is it too loud, or? Still good, Marcus? Good. Yeah, I plan on doing some trapping videos. The problem with trapping is the fur prices really suck right now. And we have a lot of wolves and coyotes, and they're killing most of the beavers and muskrats. My pond is a big pond. It's probably 20 acres, and I own kind of the center section, and then each neighbor owns kind of just the shoreline, and you know, maybe 100 feet of the pond or so. And we generally have beavers and lots of muskrats. And last year I think I pulled 1 or 2 rats out, and that was about it. The main beaver house in the middle of the ponds collapsed. The otters chewed a hole through the beaver dam at the back, so the water's down, probably a good 1.5 feet. And yeah, there's not much there. At some of the farms I've been trapping, the beaver numbers are basically nothing. And there's still some muskrats, but not nearly as many. So I don't know if it's a combination of weather, or if it's something to do with pollutants, or just the number of coyotes and wolves. I know I see a number of tracks in the mud on my property, on my trails, as well as scat. So it's really hard, but I'm guessing that it's the predators are really cleaning them up. My wife and I last night heard the dogs. There's a kennel across the road, well, not across the road, but probably 1.5 kilometers, 2 kilometers away, and they were howling for a good bit, so that tells me that something was rooting around up there. My food plots, I see lots of pictures of bears, so I know there's a bear around, and bears, if they can get their hands on beaver, they'll chow down on that. So we'll see how the trapping goes, but I definitely would like to do it. It's kind of a challenge as well when I work out of town for 2 weeks at a time. So setting and then unsetting traps, kind of a pain in the butt, but I'd like to do a bit more of it. And the prices sucking aren't a real big issue to me, because I just enjoy doing it. But yeah, we'll see. I'd definitely like to do some more. I was hoping to go fishing next week sometime, a couple times, Aaron. I haven't gotten out nearly enough. I just went out that one time and I caught those 2 pretty decent specks. So yeah, I'm definitely due to get out. We've had such extreme hot weather here that it's either 30 degrees and just sunny as can be, or it's pouring down rain and it's thunder and lightning. So I don't mind going out when it's hot and sunny, but as most trout fishermen know, that's the worst type of weather. So definitely want to get out this coming week. They're calling for a bit of cloudier weather Thursday and Friday and Saturday, I think. So I want to get out once just by myself, and one of my buddies wants to go out, so we might try a different lake where it's a little bit further. So if there's anything that goes wrong, I'll have a bit of backup to help, pick something up or move something or whatever the case. So we'll try and do that. Will I try and hang out with or do the Wilderness Survival Challenge? No. No, I won't. With my work schedule and stuff, I work for 2 weeks and then I'm home for 2 weeks. So to do something for a week like that with the boys means I don't spend too much time at home with the wife and kids. So it's not really something that I want to do. I don't mind popping in and helping like I did last year. Got them a groundhog, trapped some beavers, that sort of thing. So that was a lot of fun to be on the sidelines. But to commit to it for 5 or 7 days is not really something that I can do. So, this year Chris went down to Texas, and then I think they're going up to, is it Caribou Provincial Park or Red Lake Provincial Park? I've been to Red Lake. It's about 16 hours from here driving. So I think it'll be a pretty sweet place to be fishing, that's for sure. I got drawn for a doe tag this year, Aaron, so we should be able to shoot just about anything. I've been seeing lots of does. There's 3 does that always go to my food plots, a couple spotted fawns still. There's a button buck, and there's a fork buck. No monsters in there, but I'll gladly shoot a doe this year. Tag soup was alright, but I think venison backstrap would be slightly better with a nice big baked potato. No, wolves and coyotes kill beavers pretty easily because a beaver's got to go to shore to get food. And when it's on the shore, you can basically just walk up and club one. And a wolf or a coyote would have no issues grabbing a beaver. If they're in their house, yes, they're somewhat protected. Only the otters could go in and mess with them. I don't think an otter is going to tackle a 50-pound beaver, but it would definitely grab the little ones. Just drinking some kombucha that I made. That's blueberry or berry, I forget what it is. It's kind of like a tangy iced tea. It's pretty good stuff. I've been making quite a bit of it. It's supposed to be good for your gut. It's supposed to have a bunch of bacterias and stuff like that, probiotics, I think, and fermented foods is the big fad for all the hipsters. This stuff's actually pretty tasty. I like iced tea, but I find it kind of leaves maybe a film in my mouth. I call it the pasties, but this stuff I find is more refreshing because the bacteria and everything eats up all the sugars. So it's a little bit more tart, but it's still really refreshing. I drink about a half a bottle a day sort of thing, and yeah, it's pretty good. You can buy it, it's pretty expensive, but it's dirt cheap to make. Yeah, the problem with doing the harvest and cook like that is I'm generally shooting my deer at the last like 10-15 minutes before it's pitch black, and by the time I get the deer recovered, usually when I shoot my deer, I come home, I give it half an hour, I'll sit up in the tree, and then I'll come down, I'll go home, I'll get changed, get out of my good camo stuff, put on just some dirty clothes, then go back out, recover it, and do all that sort of stuff. So by the time I'm all done that, I'm pretty tired and ready to just get it hung in the garage and go to bed, and then deal with it in the morning. So if I could get one in the morning hunt, it would be nice, but I generally don't hunt the mornings either. I get up early and I do my chores and my normal day-to-day stuff, and then evenings when I hunt. So this is a bit of a test video because I just have a normal battery in my camera. So I'm curious as to see how long it'll record for until the battery craps out. I do have like an AC power adapter that you plug a dummy battery into it, and then you plug it into a wall receptacle. But I got the wrong one in, so I had to reorder it. So that should be in sometime this week or next week. Or, well, yeah, next week. So that should allow the camera to run a lot longer. Been live for about 26-27 minutes, so I'm sure in the next 15 to 20 minutes the camera will crap out. But so if we just all of a sudden shut off, that's why. Just trying things out, using the Canon M50, my new camera. I really like it. Got an auxiliary LED light so that I can control the brightness, because last time I did a video I found it really dark, so we got that. I was going to use the lav mic, but my little tiny battery is dead. So as soon as this is over, I will be ordering half a dozen of them. Because when you use your smartphone, you leave it off. But when you use your camera, you leave it on. And I always forget to shut it back off when I'm done. So I'll have to get a few more. I know I have some somewhere, but I kind of think that when I sold my Nikon camera that the batteries were in the bag. So I'll have to double check, but won't hurt to have a few extra anyways. What do you got planned for today, Aaron? Anything since you're off? I'm just outside of North Bay, Ontario. Kind of, I would say right in the center. We're considered Northern Ontario, but as far as I'm concerned, it's more Central Ontario. There's quite a bit further south of us of Ontario, and then definitely a lot further north. So if you see Lake Nipissing on the map, I'm south of that. It's, Lake Nipissing's one of the bigger lakes in Ontario. Good sized lake. I'm just maybe a 10-minute drive from there, and about 15 minutes from maybe 20 minutes from Trout Lake, and then I'm about 10 or 15 minutes from Lake Nosbonsing. So I've got 3 fairly good sized lakes, all within 15-20 minutes, and that doesn't include the other 1,000 tiny ponds that are around. I don't really go out on the big waters. Too many rules and regs, and too many people watching you and making sure that you're doing everything perfect. And I'm not perfect, so I don't feel like getting in trouble for something that I think is stupid. And in Canada, you have to have certain things in your boat at all times, and you can't do this and you can't do that. And I don't go out of my way to break the rules, but if I go to a lake and I forget my paddle, I'm still going to go fishing. And technically, by law, I could get a fine for not having my paddle. So I go on the small waters where, if I got blown to shore somewhere, it would be no big deal because I could just walk to my truck. So I don't get too bent out of shape. I could almost tie a rope to my truck or my four-wheeler or to a tree and just drift. And when I get to where I'm going, I could pull myself back. So that's the type of water bodies that I like to play on. But Lake Nipissing's a nice big lake. If you've watched the Wooded Beardsman video where he goes ice fishing, I think he made mention of something like they caught 300 fish that winter. Tons of walleye and good perch, so some good eating fish. But they have slot sizes, and like I said, there's more rules than you can keep track of, so you got to bring your Ontario fishing regulations handbook out with you, because it's pretty hard to remember all the rules, especially if you fish a lot of different lakes. How's the video doing? Is it fairly smooth or is it choppy? I know I had some dropped frame rates, so I lowered it down a little bit. Trying to make everything run fairly smooth. want to start doing these live streams a little bit more often. It's not always easy to make a video, especially when I'm working out of town for 2 weeks at a time. Can't, you know, like on a day like today, I wanted to get out and do something, but it was pouring down rain, so we'll let it be for now. We'll try and get out and do something later. Got some cleaning up to do, so we'll do that. Break the conditioning. Is there a season on muskrat trapping? Yes, there is. I think it's October 15th until the end of April or the middle of April. It's always the same season. It's basically from fall to early spring. It's the same as our beaver season. Pretty much everything in Canada has a season, and they don't want you touching animals unless you're within the season. So that's why Chris is down, the Wooded Beardsman's down in Texas doing his, or he's back now, but that's why he did his wilderness survival challenge down there, because there's a lot more seasons, a lot more wildlife. Doing it up here is pretty tough, especially around this area. If you're not in the big game season, you're picking up roadkills like they did last year with the bear, or you're relying on nuisance trapping, because even for survival they're not allowed to trap animals. They're not in season and they don't have a trapping license. So, you know, like right now, can't really do anything. You might be able to go after, no, I don't even think you can go after rabbit. I think rabbit's closed right now. So you're pretty much, I think bear's closed. Actually, bear will open up soon if it didn't already open up. I think it opens, maybe it's north of here, it opens August 1st. So that's pretty cool, but I don't know what made that sound. But yeah, there's a season for everything around here. Spring and fall, you have turkey and you have black bear. And then pretty much everything's done until the fall, October, September. Yeah, September sometimes you have moose, depending on where you are. In October you have moose. And then bow opens up for deer. I bow hunt deer. I use my crossbow for the most part now. I do have a compound. I sold my good compound, but I still had my backup compound, so I kept that. I'd like to get back into that, but do I know Sean James? I don't know them personally, but they're not really that far. The Muskokas, where Sean James is about 2 hours away, an hour and a half, depending on where exactly he is. I'm not sure. I can drive to Huntsville in about an hour, and I know that he's in the Muskokas. So, and Joe, I think's moving to the Sioux. I went to trade school in the Sioux. That's about 5 hours from here, 4 hours from here. I forget exactly now. So I know who they are. I watch their videos from time to time, but I don't know them personally. Pretty much the only people I know in person on YouTube are the Wooded Beardsman Chris, One Wildcrafter Jeremy, and then I know Kirk McCutcheon. I've met him at the Trappers Convention maybe 3 years ago now. Who else was there? Dave Vandermeer from Trapping World. Norm from Time on the Line, but he changed his YouTube channel. I can never remember what it is. True North? I think it's True North, because he's was in Winnipeg, and that's what they like to say, True North. Trapper Joe, he's from the Englehart area. Cecil Skinner, he's a homesteader up in the the Tri-Town area. I know him. I actually worked with him for about 6 months, almost a year, I guess, up in Liskard. No grayling here. You got to go quite a bit further north. Yeah, Great Slave Lake. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure where they are. We don't have them here. I'm kind of right at the boundary of cold water fish like trout and stuff, and warm water species like walleyes and stuff like that. We have some decent trout lakes that are stocked, but not that many great trout, like native trout lakes or streams. A lot of logging back in the day. Yeah, just not the greatest of conditions around here, I guess. There are places, don't get me wrong, but whereabouts are you from, Silverhammer? I'm surprised his battery's still going. Because I played with it a little bit before I went live just to see if everything was in frame and in focus and all that sort of jazz. So hey Raza, how are you? Thanks for coming on the live stream. I got to do a better job of letting people know when I'm going to do it, but it was kind of I was going to go out and do something, but it was kind of miserable, so I thought I would come on and do a quick little chat just to say hi, shoot the breeze. Whereabouts are you from? Oh, Toronto, cool. How are things going down there? Ah, okay. Yeah, I remember you. What happened to the old channel and stuff? Or did you just change your name and got rid of the little profile picture? Finland? Wow. Not too bad. How are you? Nothing wrong with drinking a beer. I'll probably do that in a little bit. Gonna think if it keeps raining, I'll probably just work at cleaning up the garage. My wife and kids pile their junk in there, and then I have to throw it all out. So I had a bunch of plywood. I had my roof redone last fall, November, and a lot of the plywood sheeting was moldy because there was no ventilation up in the attic. And that's part of the reason why we wanted it all redone. But I piled it all on my trailer maybe a month ago, and my neighbor was going to use it for fixing some of his trails and stuff, but he didn't really want it after he seen all the mold on it, so that's all right. I did give him a bit of a heads up, but I understand. I wouldn't want to use it for building purposes, like a chicken coop or anything like that, because there is quite a bit of mold. But some of it's got nails, so he didn't want to run over it. And so I'll go pick the trailer up, and it's just down the road, a couple 100 feet. So I'll go with my truck and grab that, and go around and just gather up anything that's garbage, and I'll throw it in my trailer, and then maybe next weekend I'll do a dump run. Oh, you're in Florida? Wow. What's it like down there? Warm? Hot? Rain? Hurricanes? I don't think hurricane season starts yet, eh? When's that, November? October, November? Oh, that was your son's account. So you got your own now. Yeah, I'll stay busy, Tony. There's always something to do around here. Uh, Yesterday, me and the kids went out. We had a nice day, so we took some of the wood from my gardens when I destroyed the garden beds, took them apart. And we had a bridge where I used some slats from when I milled up some pine. round sections, and put those down over. We made a bit of a rinky-dink bridge, so I used the 2x6s and I put them down 3 wide, so there's a nice space to run the tires of the gator over it and not have to worry about nails and stuff sticking up through, and a little better for the dog to run across. She won't have to worry about her leg dropping down into a crack. And well, and me and the kids, it's a lot safer to walk on that than it was on the uneven boards. So yeah, we'll find something to do. Got to get out and put a roof on my shack, my cabin back. I had tarp and some tar paper, but it's all been weather beaten and blown apart, and so we'll have to get out and do that. Well, I appreciate everyone coming on and having a quick little chat with me. Like I said a bit earlier, I'll try and put up a bit of a post on the YouTube, just letting people know that I'm hoping to live stream at a certain time and give people a bit more heads up, not just 15 minutes or 20 minutes like I did. It's kind of hard to plan something, especially in the middle of the day like this too as well. I usually try and do stuff first thing in the morning when people are maybe sitting down having a coffee or getting ready to go to work. They can put this on and just listen, and when they have a minute they can write something and chat that way. So, but I better get off. It's been about 50 minutes now, so I'm surprised the battery's still alive, but I'm glad that it's working out all right. I'll get a battery for my lav mic, and that should have some better audio. This dead cat's not too bad, but I'm sure it's picking up a lot of the background noises of, you know, the dog getting up and shaking or the chair cracking or whatever the case. There's still some fires burning, Raza, but they're not real close to me. I think most of them are under control, somewhat. We still have a big fire ban throughout, I would say, central Ontario, so you're not allowed any open fires at all. Yeah, it's too bad because my wife and I are both off this week, well, last week and this week coming, so would have been nice to have a couple fires at night with the kids and roast some marshmallows, but not really allowed. I don't mind breaking the rules, but when there's basically a province-wide fire ban, you get caught having a fire and you may get in some serious trouble. So not really worth it just to roast some marshmallows, but it is what it is. Too bad. It's a busy time of year, especially with the August long weekend. That's a very popular weekend. But yeah, lots of fires up north now. There's an Ontario government website. I forget exactly what it is, but if you Google Ontario fires or fire bans in Ontario, it shows you where all the fires are, and it'll show you how big they are. It'll tell you what they think started it. So some are by lightning, some are by people, that sort of thing. So that's kind of interesting. There's a stinking chipmunk on my deck. But oh, it starts on June. Oh wow. I always thought it was November and on. I didn't realize it was June. I guess that's when the real warm waters mix with the cold waters. You get all those nasty storms. I thought it was later, but been trying to dispatch a lot of these squirrels and chipmunks. They're really chipmunks are bad because they'll dig tunnels, and if you're not paying attention, your foot can get down in those holes. Not so much an adult, but kids or pets. So I try and control the population a little bit, thin them out with a pellet gun. It does nice quick work, and it's cheap to shoot. Don't have to worry too much about the pellets ricocheting around a whole lot. And squirrels are bad because they get into everything, and they chew up all the pine cones and just leave crap everywhere. So they're kind of a nuisance. I don't go out into the bush and try and shoot them, but if I see them around the deck or the flower beds and stuff like that, I try and control them a little bit. So I'll be right back. Just give me a second here. Yeah, that's way too hot for me. I like cooler weather. I like well, I like winter. I just don't like shoveling the snow, but I do enjoy the ice fishing and snowmobiling. But 90, 95 Fahrenheit's just too hot for me. Anything I like the 70s. As soon as we get into the 80s there, I don't like that. If I can just sit on the deck and drink a beer, I don't mind so much. But if I got to do anything, cut the grass, run a chainsaw, or anything like that, I'm cursing the weather. And humidity is hard to deal with. If you've got high humidity and warm temperatures, you just can't. Your body can't cope with the temperature. You can't. Like you can sweat, but it doesn't evaporate off you and cool because the air is just so humid. That's a big problem in the underground environment where I work. Is a lot of times it's hot and humidity is so high that you have a hard time keeping cool. So you end up you got to drink lots of water and Gatorades and Powerades and stuff like that. But a lot of people now, including me, will wear a moisture wicking clothing underneath their coveralls. Similar to Under Armour stuff that athletes wear. It just draws that moisture away from your skin. No, I don't moose hunt. It's really hard to get a tag, and if you get a tag, a lot of the times it's a calf tag, and I'm not really interested in shooting a calf moose. I don't love moose meat enough to want to shoot a little baby one. If I could get a bull tag, I would love to shoot a bull. It's definitely something I want to do someday, but as far as moose hunting right now, no. I did it maybe 15 years ago when I was 19, 20. A co-worker of mine had a farm, kind of a farm slash bush out in the country. He had 200 acres, so we would go there and hunt, a couple big ponds, but we only got a calf tag, and like I said, I'm not going to go out and shoot a calf. It's just not for me. But I mean, if you're someone who loves moose meat, then there's nothing wrong with it. We have issues with the population of moose, and to me, if you're going to shoot a cow and a calf, you're really not doing a good job of managing the species. And a couple areas around me, they dropped, like they have a certain number of tags for a specific area of land, and because they said the moose population was down so much that they dropped the tag percentage by like 90 something percent. So if they had 1,000 tags, it went down to like 30 tags. So it's kind of to me, it's, I don't know, I think a lot of it's the stats are messed up. But no, I don't moose hunt. Any real serious ones where, you know, you not lost your house, but maybe the roof got peeled up, or shed blew off, or a tree fell on your car, or anything like that, Hammer? I'm glad I live where I live. We only have we get ice storms from time to time. We get some pretty good winter storms. Not so much anymore. We used to get, you know, a good week or two in the winter where it was minus 30 Celsius and colder for those 2 weeks straight. You just didn't get a break. And now, you know, we get minus 25, and everybody's losing it because it's cold, but we only get like 2 days of it. So weather up here is really changing. We don't have those severe cold snaps anymore. We seem to be getting a mix of, like, it'll go from minus 10 Celsius or warmer. We get rain in the middle of winter. Last winter, I think we had like 4 or 5 days of rain. So we end up getting, you know, really bad snow conditions, really bad ice conditions. And if you're a winter person, that kind of screws things up. Last winter, like, I bought a brand new snow machine 2 years ago, and I've got something like 450 kilometers on it. So that's like 300 miles. And most of that's just going around the yard and on my property and just pulling the kids on GTs and stuff. So the weather's been really screwed up around here. And last year I bought a trail pass for the first time, and I didn't even put 1 kilometer on the trails. Every time I got home from work, just before getting home, it would rain, or we'd get freezing rain, and the trails would just be crap. So yeah, I never went out. Well, guys, I gotta run. Appreciate everybody who's stuck in and poked their nose in and had a little chat. Hope everyone has a good Saturday. Hopefully it's not too miserable or raining where you are. And I'll try and do another chat later this coming week. I'm not sure exactly when, because like I said, my wife and kids are off, so if they're running around, there's going to be a lot of background noise. So we'll try and get something in, but I'm going to try and sneak out. I can see there's just a little bit of sun poking out. So hopefully that's enough that we can do something and keep busy this afternoon. So we'll end this. But like I said, thanks guys. Thanks Raza. Hope everything is well in Toronto. Thanks Silver Hammer and Tony, as well as Mr. Aaron. And we'll chat again. So thanks guys. We'll see you.